Kelly and I decided to spend a little bit of our winter away in Maui, and we chose to go through Vancouver International Airport. And we planned a few extra days in Vancouver just to look around. And we've compiled our thoughts on the good and the bad about traveling through and staying in Vancouver. Well, bye-bye, Lake. We'll see you in a while. Back in the beginning of February, the weather was snowy and dreary, and we were looking forward to getting away to our favorite Hawaiian retreat in Maui. We normally travel through Calgary to go to Hawaii, as that is an opportunity to visit with our children. But this year we decided to go through Vancouver instead. And we live in the Shuswap, which is almost exactly halfway between Calgary and Vancouver. And this year we couldn't get a direct flight from Calgary. And by going through Vancouver, we forego an additional layover and save several hours of travel time. Also, the direct flight from Vancouver leaves in the morning and arrives early in the afternoon Maui time, which is better than the usual 10 or 11 p.m. arrivals. Our trip to Maui then began with a drive from our cabin here in the Shuswap to Vancouver. We dropped our luggage off that we were taking to Hawaii at the Fairmont Airport at the YVR, and we drove to the long-term lot. We had gone online and we had booked YVR value long-term parking and paid in advance. Our initial reservation was for 6 weeks, and they offered us a discount for booking in advance, and it was $250 for the 6 weeks. This location is right next to the Templeton train station, and so we hopped the train with our backpacks and headed to the waterfront station. We wanted to check out the waterfront area for one day before flying. The parking lot location near the train and the airport was very convenient and seemed like a great value. Once at the waterfront, we walked about 8 blocks to the Westin Bayshore Hotel. We had high expectations because of our previous experiences with Westins. But we were disappointed. Other than the location on the waterfront and the H Tasting Lounge with their interesting little bubbles that you can dine in, the hotel seems very dated and old. And after driving all day and walking several blocks to get there from the station, well, we just didn't want to go out for dinner, and so we dined at the restaurant. But sorry, Westin, your restaurants aren't very good. The menu was lacking for gluten-free options, and we couldn't get a reservation in the bubbles. We didn't sleep very well either because our room looked out onto a dog park and there was a lot of noise through the night, and the mattress and the pillows also were not great. So we left the next morning after breakfast, and well, we just didn't look back. We can't wait to try another hotel along the waterfront, as that's an excellent location.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's got fabulous views and lots of restaurants. From the waterfront area, we headed towards the Fairmont Airport at YVR, and we made a quick stop at the outlet mall at Templeton Station just to have a look around and get some lunch. The Fairmont Hotel is right inside the airport. It's very convenient as it's near the check-in for the international flights. We had an early morning flight the next day, and it was really helpful to be close. The next morning we got up and had breakfast, and we checked in, and then we were off to Maui. A great perk of this hotel is watching through the hotel windows the airplanes take off and land. We stayed on our way back for one night as well. We had a midnight flight arrival, and it was awesome just to jump into bed after clearing customs and collecting our bags. The convenience of the location was great, but the downside is that it's like more than $400 a night.
On our way home, after checking out of the Fairmont Airport, we stored our luggage with the bellman again and headed back to YVR long-term parking to pick up the car.
The next station is Templeton. Exit here for YVR airport parking.
Originally, we had intended to pick up the car and go back to the airport hotel and retrieve our luggage and drive to the next hotel downtown. This is where things started to get a little problematic. We found that the battery was dead and the car wouldn't start. The battery was so dead that the starter wouldn't click and none of the lights on the dash came on. We called a boost service and tried to arrange for some help, but after an hour, they couldn't tell us when they were going to arrive, so we gave up on them. We then called the parking lot security, and they offered us a boost. They came with a portable battery pack, and after a couple of tries, it was obvious that the battery pack didn't have enough jam to get us going. We decided that the best thing to do was to go buy a new battery. We had other things to do, so we left the car at the parking lot and hopped on the train with our luggage to go to the next hotel out in city center. Lucky for us, the hotel we picked for the next day was near the train line and was doable with our luggage. The issue with the car wasn't good, and the battery problem was only the beginning of our car troubles, but we had a hockey game to go to. Since we are now BC residents, we wanted to go to Rogers Arena and see the Vancouver Canucks play. We used to have season tickets for the Calgary Flames when we were back in Alberta and hadn't been to a game in years. This was an excellent opportunity since we were in Vancouver. We picked a hotel in city center that was within walking distance of Rogers Arena. We put our car troubles out of our minds, checked into the new hotel, and had an early supper. It was about an 8-block walk, and the usual rainy Vancouver weather gave us a break, and we walked without an umbrella. The hockey game was a great add to the good column. It was a lot of fun watching Seattle give Vancouver a trouncing. The only thing that would have been better is if it had been Calgary doing the trouncing. And it seems that the pregame ice projections and light show have improved dramatically.
The hotel we chose in city center was the Fairmont Hotel, Vancouver. We chose this hotel as it was close to Rogers Arena, and we wanted the opportunity to check out another Fairmont. We stayed 3 nights as we got a room on sale. From the moment we checked in, it was pretty impressive. They gave us a complimentary upgrade to a suite on the top floor. We wish we knew how they choose who gets an upgrade, but we surely loved it.
Wow, look at this.
So we're at the Fairmont Hotel, Vancouver, and we are on the top floor, the 14th floor, and they've very nicely upgraded us because we did not have this room. This is beautiful. You can make out the waterfront. This is pretty cool. I think this will do.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fantastic way to hang out for a few days.
I love it. The hotel was built in the 30s by the Canadian Pacific Railway with a fantastic Art Deco interior and is considered a heritage hotel. We ate in the one restaurant they had most days. The restaurant was good with numerous gluten-free options, and I felt safe eating here. It was a great location for shopping at the Pacific Center Mall, and there were lots of choices for restaurants, museums, and galleries nearby.
On the day after the hockey game, we needed to get the car running. We hopped back on the train and headed back to the airport. At the airport, we hired a taxi to take us to the nearest Canadian Tire to buy a new battery. The cab driver was nice enough to wait for us while we went in and bought it. Once the new battery was installed, the car started no problem. We tried to back out of the parking stall, and we found that the parking brake wouldn't release. When I forced it, something broke. As the car rolled, it made a horrible clang, clang, clang sound. It turns out that the auto park brake seized, and we broke a shoe after forcing it. This was another one for the bad list. We had to take the car to the dealer to be repaired before we could drive it home. In order to leave the long-term parking lot, we had to pay for the additional 2 weeks as we had extended our stay in Maui. The additional charge was $425. Wow, that was 5 times the rate of our initial reservation. That was really bad. Be warned, don't overstay your booking at YVR Value Long-Term Parking. It's a good thing we had a hotel reservation in Vancouver for 3 days, as that is how long it took us to get the car roadworthy to return home. Lucky for us, the dealership would take it that day and have it repaired for the next morning. After all the trouble with the car, we decided we needed an evening out at a nice restaurant.
So we asked the concierge for dinner recommendations, and we chose the Black and Blue since it was just a few short steps away and we were looking for a steak. This place was lovely. Nice atmosphere with an interesting glass meat locker to store the various cuts on display, and wonderful wine selections too. I felt safe eating here, gluten-free, and we had a Chateaubriand for 2, which was quite good. A little bit on the rare side for our liking, but service was great.
Was.
The only drawback was the table next to us had a business meeting going on, and the incessant pitching from one guy was almost enough to make us ask for a new table, but we didn't. So the next afternoon, we picked up the car from the dealership and we drove it back to the Hotel Vancouver. And we parked it in a public lot right next to the hotel, but they charged $75 per day for parking. Parking in city center is extraordinarily expensive, and it definitely gets on the bad list. By this time, we'd had our fill of trying to do things in Vancouver, and we were ready to go home to the Shuswap. We had a quiet dinner, and we were early to bed. And the next morning, we drove back to the cabin here on the lake, and we brought an end to our winter getaway to Maui. Traveling to Maui through Vancouver instead of Calgary was a great adventure.
It was.
And our stay at the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver was excellent. And the Fairmont Airport was super convenient for our flights. But the car trouble was unavoidable, and the train system was very handy, and we didn't miss a beat with our plans, I don't think. Unfortunately, staying in Vancouver has become pricey, and hotels are expensive, and parking costs are outrageous.
They were.
Traveling through Calgary is much more reasonably priced. Saving a layover was worth some of the added expense, but if direct flights to Hawaii were available, I think traveling through Calgary would be our preferred option.
For sure.
Back in the beginning of February, I think I have to keep reading it. Okay, ready? We dropped our luggage off and... Nope. We dropped our luggage off that we were taking to... Okay, hold on a second. We can't wait to try another hotel along the waterfront, as that's an excellent location. And it's got fabulous views and lots of restaurants. The hotel we chose in city center was the Fairmont Hotel Vancouver. This
On the day after the hockey game, we needed to get the car running. We got back on the train and headed back to the airport. At the airport, we hired a taxi to take us to the nearest Canadian Tire. Start that over again.
And don't bounce your head.
Don't bounce my head.
You're bouncing your head as you're reading. So Kelly and I have decided, nope, we didn't decide now. We decided before.
Yeah, you could say Kelly and I had decided to spend a little bit of our winter away in Maui. House dancing. Well, you don't have to.
Okay. So traveling to Miami. Sorry. Okay. Ready? I don't know why I got the giggles. Okay. Traveling to Maui,